Imagine, you're sitting at home with your family. It's a Monday morning. You have a successful farm. You have no debt. You have no criminal record. You are, by all accounts, a perfect, normal family. Suddenly, your father stands up and tells you that they are coming. He doesn't say who, he doesn't say why, but the fear in his eyes is so genuine and so contagious that you don't ask questions. You just run. He's so convincing, in fact, that you leave all of your credit cards, you leave your passports in the drawer, you leave your house unlocked, and most importantly, you leave your phones, because they can obviously track phones. This sounds like the start of a sci-fi movie or a psychological thriller, but on August 29, 2016, this actually happened to a family of 5 in Silvan, Australia. Within 24 hours, this family would be scattered across hundreds of miles, some hospitalized, some catatonic, and others fleeing into the woods. And to this day, the question remains, what were they running from? Meet the Tromps, Mark and Jacoba, and their 3 adult children, Rihanna, Mitchell, and Ella. They run a successful red currant farm. Neighbors describe them as hardworking and tight-knit, but in the days leading up to August 29th, something had shifted. Mark, the father, became convinced that someone was out to get them. He believed that their successful business had made them targets. He became terrified of technology and convinced their phones were hacked and their accounts were monitored. Usually, when one person spirals into paranoia, the family grounds them, but here, the opposite happened. The fear was infectious. It jumped from father to the mother and then to the children. On that Monday morning, they piled into the family SUV. Mark ordered everyone to leave their phones behind. But, in a detail that becomes important later, the youngest son, Mitchell, snuck his phone with him. They drove north and fast. They didn't have a plan. They just needed to get away. And as they drove, the tension inside the car became suffocating. When Mark discovered that Mitchell had his phone, he made him throw it out of the moving vehicle. So now they were completely off the grid. By the next morning, they had driven over 500 miles. The stress of the shared delusion was tearing them apart. Mitchell, the only one who seemed to be snapping out of it, couldn't take it anymore. He separated from the family at a roadside stop in Bathurst. He managed to actually make his way back home, taking a series of trains. So you would think that his departure would be a wake-up call. Instead, it made the others panic more. The remaining 4, Mark, Jacoba, Rihanna, and Ella, continued on. In a bizarre twist, the 2 daughters decided they couldn't stay with their parents. They stole a vehicle, a gray SUV, and drove off in completely different directions. Now the family was fractured into 3 parts, and this is where things get truly strange. The daughters drove for hours until they reached the Janolan Caves. There, they abandoned the stolen car. Rihanna, the 29-year-old daughter, was found later that day in the back of a stranger's utility truck. The man who had found her said she was in a catatonic state. She didn't know who she was, she didn't know where she was, and she was rushed to a local hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. Ella, the 22-year-old, managed to drive back home to the farm, where she found her brother Mitchell. She was shaken, but safe. Where were the parents? Jacoba, the mother, was found the next day nearly 200 miles away from the others. She was wandering a country road, agitated and confused. She was taken to a hospital, convinced she was still in danger. And the father Mark, the one who started it all, was the last to be found. He had abandoned the family car and fled into the bush. For 5 days, a massive manhunt scoured the area. Finally, he was found walking by a roadside, dehydrated and disoriented. He gave the police a fake name initially, still terrified he was being hunted. And when the police searched the family home, they found it unlocked. Passports, credit cards, and phones were exactly where they had left them. There was no evidence of a break-in, no evidence of a threat, no hitmen, no mafia. Toxicology reports come back clean. There's no drugs, no environmental toxins. So what happened? Psychologists call it Folie, a shared psychotic disorder. It's a rare phenomenon where a delusion is transmitted from one individual to another. The father's fear was so powerful and the family bond was so strong that his reality overwrote theirs. For 5 days, 5 rational, intelligent adults lived in a nightmare that didn't exist. The Tromp family eventually recovered. They are back on their farm, they are safe, and they have apologized for the chaos and the stolen car. They simply want to move on. But it leaves us with a terrifying thought. We trust our senses. We trust our family, but what happens when the people you trust the most tell you the sky is falling and you start to see it falling too? And it makes you wonder, how thin is the line between reality and madness? And are we sure we're the sane ones? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button for more stories that make you question everything.